It's been said that hope is not a strategy, and that may be true. However, it's one of the most powerful motivators in the world. On Unyielding Hope, we're going to take life head on, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We talk about and share stories and experiences of the challenges we face and how you can find hope in the midst of some of your most challenging times and circumstances. So sit back, relax, and get ready for your weekly dose of hope. All right, before we get started, a quick word from our sponsors who make Unyielding Hope possible. Hey, are you a learning-based business owner or a real estate professional? Are you ready to exceed your goals? Well, Cornerstone Coaching is here to help. In the ever-changing real estate market, challenges can often leave you feeling stuck. Cornerstone Coaching simplifies real estate, even in the face of difficulties, to get you unstuck and back on the road to your dreams and goals. Are you struggling with market conditions? They provide coaching that empowers you to lead confidently through their proven process. They help you navigate your clients through fears and objections that they might be feeling. The Cornerstone Coaching approach starts with an in-depth analysis of your business gaps, and from there, they craft a step-by-step plan using their time-tested models, systems, and tools. So if you're ready to embark on your journey to success, Cornerstone Coaching is offering a complimentary 1-hour coaching session for the listeners of this broadcast, Unyielding Hope, to uncover the missing pieces in your business and chart a clear path. Contact them today for your complimentary coaching session and let them know that you heard about it here on Unyielding Hope. Take that crucial step towards your brighter future. Hi, this is Terry Gurno with Unyielding Hope, and thank you for joining us again. I really appreciate that. Today, we're going to talk about unexpected business and dealing with the discouragement that can happen when you get that news that just wasn't, you weren't expecting, and it could have been about a lot of things. Could have been about you, your health, like it was for me. Maybe it was about a loved one, your finances, your career, your job. There's so many things going on in our life, and we get these unexpected, we get unexpected news and situations that we have to deal with. And one of the very first things that can happen is you really feel discouraged. And I know that personally. I know in my journey that I talk about on this show is when I was going down this road of getting my diagnosis about my heart. I remember when they called me and they were telling me that I needed to come in for a heart catheter, that the stress test that they did picked up some abnormalities, and that I knew that was a possibility. And so, I was kind of prepared for that. That was okay. I really wasn't prepared for the procedure. I didn't like the idea of somebody sticking some sort of a camera into my vein, my artery, and going into my heart and being able to look around. I mean, I just had all kinds of thoughts around that. Like, am I going to be able to feel that? What is that going to do? Could they make a mistake and go somewhere else? I mean, all these things just kind of entered my mind. And so, I had to deal with that. I expressed some of those, feelings to my wife, and we talked about that, and it really didn't do a lot to calm me in that moment because, again, I was about ready to experience something that I had never been through. And so I remember the day came, and I went in and I had the procedure, and the procedure was going to be about an hour to 90 minutes, depending upon what they found and if they could repair it during that time. And they told me, on the phone when they even set this up, they said one of three outcomes, either medication will take care of it, a stent will take care of it, and if so, we'll do it right then, or, the last option would be open heart surgery. And again, I never thought for a second it would be open heart surgery. It didn't even enter my mind. And so they told my wife, hey, Terry will be in about an hour to an hour and a half, depending upon what we find and what we're able to do. If we're able to do a stent, it'll be more like an hour and a half, and so they took me out. They took me away to do the procedure. So my wife was thinking she had an hour and a half. 28 minutes later, they rolled me in, which means it didn't take very long for them to figure out what was wrong or to see some things that really concerned them. Now, when I came out of that and they told me that I would need open heart surgery, again, that blew me away. I couldn't have been more surprised, more discouraged. Even though they said that might be something that needed to happen, it was one of the options, possible outcomes, I still wasn't prepared for that. I just didn't think that would ever happen. That would not be the case, at least for me. And so I had to deal with that. You talk about discouraging. Man, it was discouraging. And I had to deal with that, talk to my wife about that, and we were just really grappling with everything that meant. And so, when you get that kind of news, and we will all get it at some point in our life about something, someone, a loved one, somebody close, it could even be yourself. What happens is you have these, like I mentioned, these feelings of discouragement. You don't have a lot of well, I shouldn't say you don't have a lot of positive thoughts, but there are some pretty negative thoughts. You have a lot of fear. You're scared. You may not be sleeping at night, and this was the case for me, and it may even be the case for some of you that have been down this road. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't feel like eating, your appetite goes away, or maybe to soothe yourself, you start eating more than you normally would. But there's always these emotions and these things that we have to deal with. And how do we do that? How do you find hope in the midst of that kind of discouragement? Because that's when we need hope, right? That's when we need to have this thing that we believe in, that we have faith in, that we're moving forward, that there's going to be a better tomorrow, that just around the corner things will be brighter and better. And so to have that kind of hope, you got to find that in the midst of discouragement. And so I don't think most people walk around in any and every circumstances just hope-filled no matter what. We all have to navigate all the emotions that we go through in life, in relationships, in working, in the day in and the day out, the raising kids, all of that stuff, and then all of that unexpected, or unpleasant news that we get in between that. You feel that discouragement, it's real, and somehow you got to find the hope in the midst of that. Some people might even call it finding hope in the midst of darkness. And so that's really what we want to focus on. And so before I go further, let me just tell you, I have a confession I need to make, and that is this. My diagnosis came as a surprise, but it shouldn't have. And the reason I say that is because in 2007, I was actually diagnosed with coronary artery disease. It was the first time I remember I was driving down the road and I wasn't feeling that well, and I was coming back from Spokane, which is about 30 miles from where we live. And I was driving home, and my chest hurt, and my arm was hurting, and so I just called my wife, and I said, "Honey, which arm hurts when you're having a heart attack?" Which was probably the best call and just the best question just to ask right off the bat. And of course, that panicked her a little bit, and she said, "Hey, just go to the hospital. Go to the hospital." And I said, "Honey, I don't think I need to go to the hospital. I just need to go someplace where I can get my blood pressure checked." She goes, "No, go to the hospital. Go to the emergency. They'll check your blood pressure. Don't mess around with this." So I did. I went in, and if you've ever been to the emergency department at your hospital, when you go in, you have no idea how long you're going to be waiting there. And in many cases, it's hours before you're able to get in. Well, I have a way for you to get seen right away. Right away. You just do this. You walk in like I did on that day, and you tell them, "Hey, no big deal. Let's not make a big scene here, but I feel like I'm having some chest pain, and I would just like to have my blood pressure checked." And I mean, as soon as I said that, they got on the phone with somebody in the back, and they said, "Hey, we got chest pains in the lobby," and they put you at the front of the line. I mean, they all of a sudden, these doors flung open, and a gurney came out, and they put me on it, and away I went. There was no waiting. And that's how this all began for me. And I remember being in there and not thinking this isn't a big deal. I felt bad that they were treating me like this when there are other people out and, waiting to be seen that were probably going through a lot worse things. And so anyways, I was in there, and they were doing all these tests, and, they do a blood test to see if there's an enzyme in your blood that would show that your muscles, not your heart, but your muscles have been damaged. And that came back positive. So they were telling me that it was possible that I was or I did have a heart attack. And so they said they were going to keep me in overnight, for observation. And the cardiologist came in later and said, hey, I think we want to do a nuclear stress test on you the next day. So they did. I stayed in the hospital that night. I actually was feeling, a lot better. I didn't feel like I needed to be there, but they wanted me there. So the next day I got up, I did this nuclear stress test. And so for those of you that haven't had one, what it is they put a dye in you and they get you to exercise, and they want to get your heart rate up. So they want to take pictures of your heart. And so they do it before, they put the dye in before you exercise, then you exercise, and they take a picture after. And you got to get on this treadmill. And I remember at the time, it's really hard to get my heart rate up. It always has been. My standing heart rate's low. It's like 50, high 40s. And so I remember they had me going on this treadmill. They were inclining it and they were increasing the speed, and my heart rate was not getting up where they wanted it to. And I just remember the doctor saying, "Hey, we got to get him off of this because he's gonna collapse before we ever get his heart rate up." So they were able to manually, with some medicine, raise my heart rate so they could get the pictures. Well, that revealed a blockage, and that's when they told me that I had coronary artery disease. Now, they didn't tell me a lot about that. They didn't say, hey, you've got to change everything. They just said, you need to know this, you need to be careful. And actually, to be honest, I walked out thinking, oh, well, it's probably not that bad, right? That's what I thought. So that's why I say, I have a confession that I knew I had something going on. And then about 5 years later in 2012, I went in because I had high blood pressure, and I went in for a physical one year, that year actually. And during the physical, my doctor asked me about diabetes, and I said, well, it runs in my family, but I don't believe I had it. Well, they did an A1C on me, which is a test to test your blood sugar, and my A1C was high enough to categorize me as a diabetic. And that shocked me. I mean, it's really shocked me. And I remember that they gave me medication. They said, "Oh, you got to start medication like right now." And so they said, "We're going to take your A1C again in 3 months, and we'll see how it is." Well, I came back 3 months later, and my doctor said, "Terry, how did the medication work? Were you diligent? Did you take it daily?" And I said, "Well, I've got to be honest. I was a bad patient. I didn't take it at all because I wanted to see if I could do this naturally. I wasn't excited about taking medication, and I did. I was able to lose about 15 pounds in 3 months. I came back. My numbers were great. I went from a 7.3 to a 5.1 in 3 months. And she said, "You're good. You don't need any medication. Keep doing what you're doing." And I said, "Okay." Well, the truth is, I really didn't take care of those two things. I was careful, but I wasn't diligent in thinking I've got coronary heart disease, I've got diabetes. So I gotta take a lot of ownership about where I ended up. I do. I mean, I feel like I could have done some things looking back now that either could have prevented this completely, or at least put it out a lot further than what I experienced. But I was mindful of it. And so before I did my Ironman, I went back to my cardiologist, and this would have been in 2015, so 8 years later. And, he did an examination and said, "I think you're fine. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do this." And so I was taking some precautions like that. I wanted to, get his, thumbs up. And so I did that. And I felt good. But that's my confession. My confession was, that's my confession. There's a lot of stuff that I could have done, but I didn't do. I wasn't diligent. I didn't have it top of mind. I didn't make it my health in that sense, the diabetes and the coronary artery disease. I didn't make that a priority. And I look back and think, man, I could have had a much different outcome, or maybe it wouldn't have been as severe, and I wouldn't have needed open heart surgery. I don't know. I just know that I didn't do my part. And so, but I ended up, that's where I ended up, right? Having, a quintuple bypass. And so, it was kind of interesting because every step that we went along the way, my wife and I had hope that we would have good news at every step. So I went in and I would have good news during the tests they were doing, that they would all be negative, or that they wouldn't indicate that I needed any kind of procedure. But then that didn't happen. So then when I had to have my heart cath, we had hope that I would need medication and that would be it. And definitely I wouldn't have open heart surgery, and that didn't happen. And then I had my open heart surgery, and I left the hospital, and I remember the physical therapist said in about 4 weeks you're going to feel 20 years younger, and I was really excited about that. I thought, man, this is fantastic, and that never came because I had blood clots that appeared that were formed in my lungs and my liver, and that put me back in the hospital. And then I had 3 of my blood clots. My bypasses fail, and that put me back in the hospital. And then but every step along the way, we had this hope that this was it. This was going to be the final thing. And so when we had the blood clots, when those were resolved, that was the final thing. And we had hope that was smooth sailing moving forward. Then I was back in the hospital, and dealt with that. Then we came out thinking, hoping smooth sailing. And we just kept getting this news that pushed us back. And it was very emotional. It was like a roller coaster. It was very emotional. And so that's why I say, and that's why we talked about unexpected business. That's what we're talking about. Things that weren't on our radar at all. Things that came out of nowhere, almost like hit us in the gut, took the wind out of us, took all the motivation that we have for moving forward and living our life was gone for a moment or longer. And so it's being able to find hope when life deals you a tough hand. That's really what we want to do. And so a couple of things that I did to just kind of reset my mindset. And this is what I want to share with you, because we have a role to play here. We don't have to sit back and just wait for life to happen to us. There are things that we can do to say, you know what, I'm getting back on the saddle. I'm going to play the hand that was dealt me. I'm going to do the very best thing that I can to move forward. And so I think for me, that's where hope starts. Hope starts for me knowing that there's something that I can do, that I don't have to stay here. There's something I can do, and finding out what that thing is. So that's the first thing. When you want to try to find hope, that's the very first thing to do. The second thing is realize nothing's going to happen right now. Nothing's going to happen right now. In other words, you've got time to figure out what that thing is. What is that thing? Do some research. Talk to some other people that have been down this road. You've got time. The next thing is really, if you don't do this on a regular basis, this is the perfect time to begin to do this. And that is start a gratitude journal. Start writing in a journal about the things you're grateful for. It is amazing what gratitude can do in your life. It can affect and change in a positive way your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your relationships. It has all of these positive outcomes by just focusing on things that you're truly grateful for. So that's another thing. Be grateful and practice gratitude. Let people know how grateful you are for them. Thank people for showing up in your life, whether it's a server, whether it's somebody helping you at the grocery store, whether it's somebody that's at Costco giving you a hand, whatever. Wherever you meet people, just stop and think. I remember when I was in the hospital recovering from all this stuff, I made it a point to thank the doctors and to thank the nurses and all of the care providers that I had, to thank them every single time they came in and did anything. It could have been big, it could have been small, but I wanted to look them in the eyes. I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for the care that you're giving me. And I will say this, I think one of the things that helped me heal was the care that I got, the quality of care. And so there's another one. The other one is control what you can control. And you got to figure that out. What can I control in this circumstance? One of the things that I felt like I can control was the things that I was reading and I was listening to. And so I started reaching out to people that had been down this road before me, or they had loved ones, to hear their stories. Hear their stories about their journey and how they got through this. And what was so encouraging to me was that I knew a lot of people that actually either they had experienced heart bypass surgery, or they knew somebody, it was their parents or their grandparents or whatever, and they were all successful. And I can't tell you how much hope that gave me. It gave me tremendous hope hearing those positive stories. I remember one guy that I went to high school with, and his name is Brett. And we're friends on Facebook, but we rarely communicate to one another. And I'll see something that he will post once in a while, and he'll see something, but it's far and few between. But anyways, he reached out to me in a personal message, and he said, Terry, I had this done 15 years ago. And I thought, man, we're the same age. And he had it done 15 years ago. And anyways, he was sharing with me his experience. And one of the things that I was really nervous about and really scared about was just the idea that they were going to, saw my sternum in two, and they were going to crack me open. I was just, man, I was nervous. I was scared. And he was telling me about his experience and how it wasn't that bad. And the pain coming out of that wasn't bad at all. It was nothing like what he had expected. And that really, really helped me. So control what you can control, what you're listening to. I not too long ago, maybe a month and a half ago or so, I went to get something that I bought on Marketplace on Facebook. And when I picked it up, I was talking to the gentleman that sold it to me, and anyways, my cancer came up, and he just looked at me and says, "Oh man, I know a guy right now. He's got cancer and he had surgery. And man, things are looking horrible for him." And then he listed about 5 people that he knows that had cancer and passed away. And I'm telling you, that is not what I needed to hear, and that's not the kind of conversation that I want to be a part of. I mean, I know that's a reality. I know that's true. It happened. You can't ignore that. But that's not those aren't the stories that I want to be listening to and really be focusing on. So, control what you control, read and listen and watch positive stories that have been, from people that have been down this road, before you. They really are a source of encouragement. And then here's the last thing I want to say is do something little. It might be start walking, go for a walk, start listening to a podcast, get a book, read a book, or restart something that you used to do that really gave you good energy and a good mindset. This is so important that we do these things intentionally, and how we snap out of that discouragement that comes from this unexpected and unwanted news, because it does. It's like I said, getting hit in the stomach, you're out of breath, you want to come back from that. And this is what I did. I mean, these probably aren't the only things you can do. I'm sure you can, go Google it. You can get other things. But these are the things that I did to be able to look beyond the circumstances that I was in and where this road could take me and would take me. And that's what we're talking about. It's that hope. It's that thing that's out in front of you that's giving you the strength, that's giving you the courage, that's giving you the process, the steps to take to be able to get to that place that you envision down the road. And I want to end this episode with this quote, and it's from a British cardiologist. He died in 1963. He said this. He said, "Hope is the medicine I use more than any other. Hope can cure nearly anything." Dr. Robert McNair. Hope can cure anything. This is why it's so important to do these things and be proactive about building hope in your life, about finding hope in circumstances and doing things that bring hope. Listen, hope is a powerful motivator. Hope can help you face the toughest of circumstances and get through very difficult, extremely challenging times. Hope. That's what we're talking about. Unyielding hope, that thing that can't be moved, that thing that can't be shaken, the thing that you anchor to. This is what we're talking about, and this is what we hope for you. So again, I'm Terry. Listen, we want to hear from you. So talk to us. What are your questions? What are the stories that you can share with us? What are, some things that you would like us to know or that you want to hear from us? We would love to hear from you. So please put your comments in the comment box. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, this has been your dose of hope. Again, we'd like to thank Cornerstone Coaching for their support of Unyielding Hope. So if you're a learning-based business owner or a real estate professional and you're ready to exceed your goals, Cornerstone Coaching is here to help. The changing real estate market challenges can sometimes leave you hopeless or even stuck. And that's where Cornerstone comes in. Their coaching simplifies the real estate process, even in the face of difficulties, to get you unstuck and back on a clear path to reach your goals. So if you're ready to embark on your journey to success, Cornerstone Coaching is offering a complimentary 1-hour coaching session for the listeners of Unyielding Hope to uncover the missing pieces in your business. Contact him today for your complimentary coaching session and let them know that you heard about it here on Unyielding Hope. Take that crucial step towards your brighter future. Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'd love to hear from you, so talk to me. Share your questions, your stories, your circumstances, and most importantly, share your experiences of unyielding hope. And please share this with your friends, your family, or anyone else that you think could benefit or be encouraged. I'm Terry Gurno, and this has been Unyielding Hope. Thank you for tuning in.